There were 5 new surgical sites across my torso and 2 sites with strings coming out, suspending my ovaries through the abdomen. The surgeon visited my hospital room, gave me the hug I really needed, and used the whiteboard to tell me the story behind each scar. The surgeon and his assistant performed 2 diagnostic tests to inspect the uterus and the bladder for signs of adenomyosis or bladder pain syndrome. I had neither, but they were suspected in me and can be very common with endometriosis. They cleared off the top of my uterus and bladder and my fallopian tubes. For a second time, ovaries were repaired. The left ovary was stuck between the hips, and the right ovary had lesions on top and an endometrioma inside. The pelvis was stripped from the brim to the tissue that connects the cervix and the spine, a portion of the lining covering abdominal organs, the space between the colon and abdominal wall, and lesions in the anus stretching to the uterus and the rectum were all aggressively removed. 5 endo spots on the diaphragm were removed. An invasive lesion deep within the intersection of the rectum and the colon was cut out and repaired with a strong suture. A significantly invasive lesion at the base of the appendix into the pouch that connects the small intestine to the colon required a colleague of my surgeons to help remove the cecum and appendix and staple my organs close. A few spots were discovered on my ileum, the small intestine area that was suspected to have Crohn's, but removal was just too risky for too many reasons. A few days later, pathology confirmed endometriosis. Pathology reports from my surgeries also found lesions composed of strange things like smooth muscle or mesothelial cells. The days that followed were a blissful break from stabbing. Legal cannabis helped me to reduce opioids and enhance colon motility. I could not laugh or cry or lift anything, including my arms, but inch by inch, with ample help, I made it to the post-op appointment where the wise and kind surgeon literally cut my ovaries free. I was cleared to fly home so the real rest could begin, and the flights back were really difficult, especially with COVID, but I made it home safe and sound. It's hard work to slowly come back to life. There is immense trauma after decades of assault from endometriosis. Pelvic therapy, mental therapy, suppositories, long walks, intuitive eating, stress management, a team of health providers, and rest are all essential. At 18 months post-op, my quality of life is much better than I ever thought possible. Healing is complex, individual, and non-linear. Flares and my symptoms come in waves. A lot of symptoms stop, many are less severe, and a few have come back or never went away. I just want to support myself to afford living with endometriosis. Menstrual workplace accommodations, disability benefits, and insurance coverage for adequate medical care would be really helpful. The more extensive the surgery, the longer recovery may take, which may be much longer than what is discussed. People with endometriosis may have other health conditions, and it can be a dynamic disability, and it may cause permanent damage the longer it is left in. The education for providers is not accurate. Research funding is dangerously low, and period literacy needs to be taught. My new local OBGYN did an endo fellowship, and she ordered an MRI for me. She sees an endometrioma and a nodule with fibrosis connecting my cervix to my rectum. Reoccurrence of endometriosis and missed disease are a lot less likely with expert excision, but it's still possible, especially with advanced disease. The genes involved with endometriosis are vast and vary. Personally, I think it may be different types of a disease. All forms can be life-shattering. Advanced or extrapelvic diseases are uniquely horrible. There is still no single adequate classification system for the many manifestations. Hormonal suppression, ablation, and hysterectomy are not cures. Expert excision is absolutely medically necessary disease management. It must become the standard of care. There is no cure. It's hard to explain what endometriosis is, why we need to travel or pay out of pocket for care. It's such an isolating disease to speak about with health professionals, family, friends, lovers, community, colleagues, or classmates. It can feel impossible to talk about in a world that shames us into silence about menstruation. For 20 years, the medical system failed me. I don't want my story to inspire you, but I do hope it will move you to action to help fight this war on our bodies. Let's change this together. The time is now.